When you think of mismatches, what's the first thing that comes to your head? Is it something like this, where Steph Curry is making people look silly? We've all heard the announcers use expressions like, put him on an island, barbecue chicken, or can I have this dance, which is my personal favorite. The purpose of this video is to explain why this stuff works, so not only will you enjoy stuff like this, but you'll be able to know why it works. Maybe some of you think of this when you think of mismatches. Shaq destroying people in the post, where nobody can guard him. Mouse in the house, as people call it. The gap theory is made up of 3 principles that all help offenses work: creating mismatches, making 2-guard 1, and driving bad closeouts. Now, I will say that creating mismatches is probably the most flashy, and it's also one of the most controversial because people don't like to see ISO basketball. My hope in this video is that I'll help you guys understand that if this is done correctly, it's not flashy, it's not hero ball, it's not somebody trying to show off, it's actually high IQ basketball that can create a lot of good offense. So welcome to the film room, let's get into it. There are 2 main ways that mismatches are created. The first one is organically. Typically this is going to happen in transition, as you're seeing right here. Kansas State comes down the court, and as soon as Keontae gets the basketball, you're going to see him subtly right here point at his teammate and tell him to get away. Now, some people might not even notice that this took place, and the reason why he's doing this is because as Kansas came down in defensive transition, everybody just has to find a man. And the 5-man, or the center, the slowest guy on Kansas's team, ended up picking up Keontae. He recognized this and said, I need y'all to get out of my way because I'm going to take advantage of this mismatch. Keontae's teammate was going to come set a screen, recognizes what he was saying, and gets out of the way so that Johnson can have room to operate. Now becomes the second layer of this, which is the most important. You can see Keontae looking at these 2 help defenders, trying to decide which way I'm gonna drive, and then he makes his decision, attacks to his dominant hand, and goes and gets a bucket. Recognition of these mismatches is the most important thing. We're gonna listen to the broadcast of this game, and you're gonna hear announcer Fran Fraschilla call this mismatch out when he sees it in real time.
That's a mismatch there. If you can get Zuby in space, they're trying to get Keontae in space with the big guy. Johnson inside, and it goes!
In this transition play, you're going to see an organic mismatch happen right here. As soon as the point guard brings the ball down, the 5-man is forced to pick him up, and there is our mismatch. The ball's going to move around a little bit, but when it gets back to the point guard, what you're going to notice is he is going to attack immediately because he knows help is going to have to come or I'm going to get downhill. This forces another one of our gap theory principles, make 2-guard 1. Number 4, Hunter, does a great job of sliding as the dribble penetration happens, which gives him a little bit more room, and he gets a knockdown 3-pointer. The other way to create mismatches is by setting a ball screen. Really any type of screen, but a ball screen is what we're going to focus on. You will see right here that as a ball screen is set, there are always 4 people that are involved in the screen. There's the 2 offensive players, and they're the 2 defensive players. We're not going to go into full detail of every ball screen coverage, but for the sake of this video, there are 2 things that happen in every ball screen when it's done correctly. You're either going to make 2 people guard 1, or the defense will switch the ball screen, creating a mismatch. As the ball handler from Iowa State comes off of this screen and the big switches, this mismatch happens immediately. The guard recognizes it and just drives past him and gets to the free throw line. The same mismatch is created on this clip. As the point guard comes off the ball screen, he is going to force a decision, either make 2-guard 1 or create a mismatch. A mismatch is what happens as soon as that switch happens. This is what I want you to recognize in this play, because this has become a very nuanced thing that's starting to happen a lot in the NBA as teams are starting to switch more. As the point guard gets rid of the ball and throws it to the post player, he still has a mismatch that he wants to take advantage of, and so he wants the ball to come right back to him. This is referred to as a boomerang. The ball goes and it comes right back. The reason why is because we want to get the ball to the mismatch on the perimeter. It's now the same situation as we had before in this game. Noel knows he wants to drive. He's trying to figure out which gap he wants to attack. I want you to look at what Ish does right here. He slides to create a bigger gap that allows Noel to get downhill to his right hand. It was subtle, but very effective. We're going to look at another clip from the same game because I want you to see that as Kansas continued to switch ball screens, Kansas State just decided to take advantage of the switch. You see the forced decision. There's going to be a switch. Cam Carter's going to waste no time at all. Babap hits him with a crossover, gets downhill. Unfortunately, he didn't finish it. Here, Kansas is switching another early drag ball screen, but Iowa State is the one that's going to come off and take advantage of it. You need to keep in mind that typically there's always two mismatches created in a ball screen because the perimeter player has a big guarding him and the post player has a guard guarding him. Holmes comes off, recognizes the switch, sees that his big fella gets really good post position, throws it in, and he goes right to work for an easy two. In this last clip, you're going to see Iowa State and Kansas playing again, and the same situation happens. Now, you might think that I'm picking on Kansas, but that's not the intent. I want you to understand that these players are making intentional reads and reacting to game prep and just having high IQ as they're playing. Holmes is going to get a switch. There's two mismatches. The post player is going to try and seal to get the ball. Holmes is just going to drive the bigger, slower defender, and he gets an open layup. This gap theory principle can create a lot of easy scoring opportunities, but it requires more than just the talent and the size of guys like Steph and Shaq. You have to have the IQ to go with it. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.